In this bag I have the Katabatic Gear Palisade 30° quilt, and in this bag I have the Katabatic Gear Sawatch 15° quilt, and in this video I'm going to compare them both. Let's go! Hello fellow hiker and world traveller, Russ here, bringing you the best tips and inspiration for hiking around the world. Now, I've been wanting to switch out my Palisade for a warm sleeping quilt just for the PCT for quite some time. I've been umming and ahhing over which one to go for, and I absolutely love the design and the build quality of the Palisade, but I just want something a little bit warmer, so I was looking at the Sawatch. I was spending ages trying to decide whether I should go for it or not. On Katabatic Gear's website, this costs $540. I did a whole review on the Palisade a little while ago, so click the link in the corner up above and in the description below if you want to go and check that out. But in this video I'm going to be going over both of the quilts side by side, looking at the specs, looking at the features, the materials, everything involved, and the filling as well, and my initial thoughts on the new Sawatch quilt. Let's take it out of the storage bag so you can get a closer look at the Sawatch. It's a very nice blue colour, and it's a lot more puffier than the Palisade, just because it's got way more filling and it's way warmer than the Palisade itself. This is still pretty much brand new. I've had it for about a month and I've been sleeping and living out of my car for the last 2 weeks and sleeping in it in the back of my car in Scotland. It was getting down to like -1, -2. I was sleeping in this very comfortably, very warm, no problem. I think I'd wake up in the morning probably a little bit too warm, so I'd have to stick a leg or an arm out or something like that. But that's the beauty of having a quilt, it's more versatile than a mummy sleeping bag. So let's just put the Sawatch down and we'll get the old Palisade out, and I'll give you a closer look at that. As you can see, it's a grey colour and it's a lot less puffier. I have had it for well over a year now, and I've probably used this on about maybe even 60 nights of stay. I've had this travelling with me in Southeast Asia where the climate is quite humid. I've had it in Snowdonia when it's chucking it down with rain. I've kept this thing as dry as I possibly can, and I dry it out as soon as I'm done with it, hang it up, and I've really looked after this thing. It's lost a little bit of its loft. It's not as puffy as it used to be when I first got it, but hey, you know, that's down. These things are going to happen. But pretty much the design of both of these in terms of the shape is the same. This is a 6 foot standard width, and the Sawatch is a 6 foot but in wide. I decided to go for the wide mainly because with the Palisade I would find that I'd still get a bit of draft when I've wrapped it around the front of my torso, whereas with this one it wraps all the way around with some extra room around the edges, so it can actually overlap when it's wrapped around you. With the Palisade it doesn't quite do as good a job at that, so a lot less draft with the 6 foot wide, and obviously it's a lot warmer as well. So I've definitely been a lot more comfortable in Sawatch. Is Sawatch how you pronounce it, by the way? If anyone knows, do let me know in the comments section how you pronounce it. I think it's Sawatch, or it's Sawatch or something like that. I think it's after a mountain range in the US or something. Okay, so that's a brief overview of both of these quilts. In the rest of this video I'm going to go over the sizing, the pricing, the difference in specs side by side. I'm going over the benefits and drawbacks of each, why I chose the Sawatch over the Palisade, and what I'll be doing with the Palisade now that I've got the Sawatch. So let's crack on with all of that. Okay, in terms of size, the Sawatch is a 6 foot wide and the Palisade is a 6 foot standard. I'm 5 foot 7 inches tall, and just those extra 3 inches on the bottom just give me enough wiggle room to still have these comfortable. I think anything larger than that for me would have definitely been a bit of a drawback, because it just would have been too much. It would have either been too warm or too baggy, causing too much draft. So depending on your height and your torso size, you want to get the least amount of wiggle room that you can possibly get away with. I'd say 2 or 3 inches is just enough for me, but with you, your sizing might differ. The filling in both of these quilts is exactly the same, which is 900 fill power hyper dry goose down. I went for that because I wanted to be able to bring these into slightly more humid conditions if I needed to, so it'll just allow the down to cope with those more humid conditions. In terms of pricing, with the specs that I just mentioned, the Sawatch is $540 and the Palisade is $410. Yes, the Sawatch is in wide, so that probably adds a little bit more to the price, plus they've put a lot more filling inside the Sawatch, but yes, that is a $130 price increase depending on whether you go for which one, so it's a very big jump in price. Okay, I've just got the laptop out. I'm just going to open up their website so I can get the spec sheets on 2 different windows. Okay, so I've got the spec sheets for both of these quilts in front of me, and I'm going to read the spec sheets out in terms of the exact specifications and sizing for each one. So depending on how tall you are and which width you go for, yours may differ, but for these two I'm just going to read out the different specs. So for the Sawatch in regular wide, the fill weight in ounces is 18.2 ounces, and for the Palisade in regular it is 10.6 ounces. The total weight for the Sawatch is 27.3 ounces, and the total weight for the Palisade is 17.9 ounces. The way that they measure the loft, I think, is when they lay the entire quilt out flat and then they measure one single side of it off, like the kind of width of it. So if it's just on its own, what that width of that side is. So for the Sawatch it's 3.25 inches, and for the Palisade it's 2.25 inches. So you've got an extra inch of loft there. Now the shoulder width for both of these, if you got them in regular, is 52 inches, but with the extra wide you get an extra 6 inches, making it 58 inches on the Sawatch in wide. So it's that extra 6 inches that allows you to wrap it around your body and give you that overlap on each side and minimizing the amount of draft that you get on the quilt. The hip width on the Sawatch in regular is 43 inches, but with the wide you get another 6 inches, making it 49 inches on the hip width. Now with the Palisade it's 42 inches on the regular, so pretty much an extra inch on both of the sizes depending on which design that you go for. The foot girth, which is basically the diameter of the foot box of both of these, if you got them in regular they're exactly the same at 38 inches, but with my one for the Sawatch in wide it actually comes to 43 inches, so you get an extra 5 inches of foot box girth diameter. So yeah, it's like quite a considerable amount different compared to the Palisade. The footbox length on the Sawatch is the same on both the wide and the regular fit, which is 25 inches, and on the Palisade is a little bit shorter, 23.5 inches on both sizes. And the pack size for both of these, and this is quite an ambiguous kind of measurement here, because it all depends on how you pack your bag, where you store the quilts inside your pack, whether you put them in a packing pod, whether you put them in the sil nylon stuff sack that these come with. So the pack size for the Sawatch is 7 by 13.5 inches, which is 9 litres, and for the Palisade it's 5.5 by 10 inches, which is 4 litres. So you're getting almost double the amount of space taken up in your pack by the Sawatch versus the Palisade. The Palisade is much smaller to pack down. I'm actually quite interested to see if the Palisade has gained or lost any weight over the last year. It probably has gained a bit of weight, just because of the moisture that it might have picked up. So let's put it on the scales and see what happens. I've deducted 20 grams for the stuff sack that I've put it in, so let's take a look. And as you can see, it has actually gained a little bit of weight. On the website it actually says that it's 496 grams to be precise. So yeah, gained a little bit of weight over time. Maybe if I dried it out a bit more, it'd weigh a lot less, but yeah, it's amazing how much weight it'll actually pick up over time. Unless of course they change the specs of the Palisade since I bought it well over a year ago. I very much doubt it, but that could be the case as well. If anyone knows the answer to that, do let us know in the comments section. Both of these quilts are made with ethically sourced down, and yes, it's down, but the PCT is quite a dry trowel. It's on the west coast, it's to the west of the mountains. So the rainfall there is nowhere near as much as what you'd find on, say, the Appalachian Trail, or over here in the UK, such as Scotland. I just spent 2 weeks in Scotland. I'm in the Lake District now, but 2 weeks in Scotland, sleeping out my car, and it was peeing it down most of the time. I had 2 days worth of good hiking weather. So if I was sleeping in a tent using the Sawatch, it would have been a lot damper by now, but using down equipment on the PCT, much lighter, much more packable, because it's dry. You're not really going to have too much of an issue with moisture. So how have I found the Sawatch so far in the last couple of weeks? Yes, I've been sleeping in my car, so it's been keeping very dry. I haven't had it outside in a tent yet. I will do on the PCT for sure for a good 140 days, but so far, I mean, it's exactly the same build and quality and shape as the Palisade. Just the measurements are different and the amount of filling that's inside is different. Just as comfortable, but because of the extra fill, what I did find was that it's a lot more snug. I did get like a much snugger kind of more comfortable sleep in this, whereas with the Palisade it's a lot thinner. So it's not as, I want to say the word cuddly, the Sawatch is definitely a more cuddly quilt to use. It's really good like that. I did find actually that the poppers around the neck that go around the back, they're a lot more difficult to get on than the Palisade when you've got it around the back of your neck. We'll try it now. I'll probably end up freaking doing it first time, but if I put it around my neck now, I find that they're a lot more difficult to get in the right spot. And I don't know if that's just me being me. Can't even get it right now. No, it's a lot more like slippy slidey. Or is that the wrong one? Do they have to be the same one? I don't know. That might be just because it's a different one. There you go. There's both of them in now. A little bit fiddly. If I take them out. Let's try it now with the Palisade and put that around my neck. Just like that. I don't know, I just found it easier. There's only one with the Palisade, so you only got that one to deal with. There you go. It's a lot easier to put on. I don't know, the Sawatch is just, you got to really fiddle with them and kind of try and get them into the socket a lot more snugly, but yeah, I mean, that was the only kind of negative difference that I could find with the Sawatch. When you buy these quilts from Katabatic Gear, they both come with a storage bag. When you're storing both of these quilts, you don't want to keep it in the sil nylon stuff sacks that they come with, because they're just far too small for that, and it can actually damage the down if you leave them in there over time. The down can actually start to scrunch up and lose its loft. So when you're not using them, keep them in these storage bags. Both of the quilts come with these Dyneema cords and some webbing as well, so that you can attach these to a sleeping pad. To be honest with you, I never use these because I like to just have the sleeping quilt a lot more free, so I can sleep on my front and just wrap the quilt around me just like that. I do have a video on my entire sleep system and how I set it up. I'll put a link up here on the screen as well as in the description, so you can go and check that out. It shows you my tent, my Palisade quilt, and also my sleeping pad and what I use as a pillow and things like that, the order that I set it all up in. So yeah, go check those out. It'll give you a good idea as to how I sleep. So yeah, that's what's in those bags and kind of how I use them. Both of the quilts come with a sil nylon stuff sack. This is the one for the Sawatch. I think the one for the Palisade is actually in my car. It's a lot smaller, it's probably half the size. I do find that the Sawatch goes inside this bag a lot easier than the Palisade did in its own one, which is smaller. But yeah, that's the comparison on the sil nylon stuff sacks. The sil nylon stuff sack for the Sawatch just feels a lot more smoother and silkier and a little bit stronger as well. I don't know if they're the exact same material or not, but it's actually a lot thinner. And I don't know if the one on the Palisade comes with it, but the one on the Sawatch comes with a little hanging loop, just like that, that's made out of some webbing, which is pretty cool. Nice little feature. Both of these quilts are an incredible build quality. I took this Palisade up to Atom Packs because Tom wanted to take a good look at it, and he said that the build quality and the workmanship on these is incredible and very high quality. So you're definitely getting some bang for the money that you spend on these. They are expensive, but I'm telling you, they are probably some of the best quilts that you can buy currently on the market. Okay, so speaking of the build, I'm going to lay both of these quilts out now and just kind of go from head to toe, looking at the features on both of these quilts. Both of these quilts are made out of Pertex Quantum Ripstop, which is 0.85 ounces per square yard. Exactly the same material on both. Looking at the neck, the Sawatch has 2 snaps on it, whereas the Palisade has just 1. I mentioned this earlier, it was actually a lot easier to just put the 1 on, which is on the Palisade, instead of the 2 on the Sawatch. I wonder why they decided to go for 2 on the Sawatch, maybe because it's a wide, they just put 2 on there. If anyone has a regular fit instead of a wide of the Sawatch, let us know in the comments below if they put 2 snaps or 1 snaps on. That would be quite interesting to know. They both have a line lock adjuster around the neck so that you can cinch it in really tight around the tops of your shoulders, which is really cool, really keeping that heat in. They both have these kind of little clips going all the way down the back and on the side, so you can either clip it together or put the Dyneema cords through them to put onto a sleeping pad. Further down the back, they both got some little ribbons of webbing with some clips on, so you can cinch these together a bit further down your torso towards your ass, which is good. Looking at the toe box, this is where they put the labels and all of the information about the down and the filling. So it's Pertex Quantum Ripstop shell and the information about all of the filling that's inside of both of them, and it says that it's made in the USA. And of course both of the foot boxes on these quilts are completely enclosed and you can't take them off, you can't change them. But yeah, both of the quilts have an open back, so that's what's going to save you the weight. The reason why having an open back on a quilt is much better than having a mummy style bag is when you're sleeping in a mummy style bag, all of the filling is compressed underneath your body and that actually loses all of the loft, all of its insulation capabilities. So with a quilt, you're saving the weight, you're getting rid of that unnecessary filling that's going to be completely squashed by the weight of your body, losing all of that fill. So in the end, with a quilt, you have a weight saving and no loss of thermal capabilities. So the Sawatch. Why do I prefer it over the Palisade? I mean, they're both incredible quilts, just for different types of temperatures, different types of location. I just wanted something a little bit warmer so that when I do the PCT starting in March, I've got something that's going to keep me warm at night in the desert when it gets really cold, and something that's going to keep me warm at night when I'm in the Sierra Mountains. I don't think the Palisade will quite cut it. I could have done with it, I would have put up with it, it would have been fine, but I didn't want to risk going all the way out there with the Palisade and thinking, do you know what, I need to switch out my quilt. That would just be really annoying because I wouldn't want to have to spend the money then. But yeah, the Palisade, amazing quilt, perfect for 3-season hiking. I'm quite a warm sleeper as it is, so I might have been able to do with it, but I don't know, I just didn't want to take the risk. I wanted a new quilt that I knew was going to keep me warm on all different types of temperatures. And also with the quilt, you can stick limbs out, you can unbuckle it from around your neck, it's really versatile, so you can get different types of fits with one single quilt. So yeah, just something a little bit warmer that was definitely going to see me through the entire trail without having to switch it out. So who would choose a Katabatic Gear Palisade over a Sawatch? So the Palisade is definitely for much warmer conditions. It's definitely a 3-season quilt as opposed to a 4-season. It's marked as a 3-season quilt on their website obviously, but this is definitely a quilt that's more suited to the summer, the autumn or the spring. You're not going to be going up too high, you're not going to be camping in snowy conditions using the Palisade. It's definitely for someone who is a warmer sleeper over a cooler sleeper. So who would choose a Katabatic Gear Sawatch over the Palisade? So the Sawatch, they state that this is a 3-season quilt on their website, but you could definitely use this as a 4-season if you wish. You probably might just want to have some extra layers on if you're going in like -10, -20 degrees. I mean, I would have definitely loved to have this on the Everest Base Camp trek. I had the Palisade on the Everest Base Camp trek a couple of years ago and it was fine, but I was sleeping in the tea houses and also had the quilts on the beds, as well as this on, as well as some extra layers. So I was warm, but I had to have some extra quilts on top to keep the drafts and everything out, because it did get down to like -15, -20 out on Everest Base Camp, whereas the Sawatch would have been way more suited. It's definitely the warmer quilt. You could definitely use this in 4-season, 100%. Just make sure you have those extra layers on. And of course it's a much cozier quilt to sleep in. So it's for someone who's a cooler sleeper, someone who would definitely want that extra bit of warmth. And again, I chose the wider fit so I could wrap it around me as opposed to the Palisade. Overall, the Palisade has been fantastic. It's been my first ultralight down quilt that I've ever used, and it was a really good way to test what I liked and what I didn't like. And when I looked at the Sawatch after having this for over a year, I decided that the features of the wide Sawatch would be way better suited for me and the PCT than the Palisade. So I hope that gives you a really good overview of both of these quilts, the reason why you might want to choose them, and hopefully it's helped you choose which quilt you would go for, whether you go for the Sawatch or the Palisade. Campfire question, which sleeping quilt do you use and why? Let us know down below in the comments section. The Trail Hunter community would love to hear from you. Thanks everyone for watching this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll see you in the next one.